Hello, all. My name is Eric Anderson. I did my video presentation over the different types of airspaces. I tried to download the Kaltura website, but it took me a little over an hour and a half, and I still couldn't figure it out. So I'm just going to record it via this way, and then I'm going to screen record the presentation. But yeah. So the different types of airspaces, there's a lot of different types of airspaces, mainly between, we separate them mainly in between the controlled and uncontrolled different types of airspaces. We're going to start out with mainly the controlled types of airspaces, such as Class Alpha, Class Bravo, Class Charlie, and Class Delta. So starting off with Class Alpha, as you can see, Class Alpha is typically the highest type of airspace you can go to, except 60,000 and above, which turns into Echo airspace. It typically starts at about 18,000 feet, and you have to be an IFR rated pilot as well as be on an IFR flight plan, have an IFR rated plane in order to fly up to this high. You also have to have at least a, MOTC transponder ADSB out and a two-way communication as well, since you're in that, as well as the whole grab card acronym and Atomato Flames, etc. for the plane. As well as that, another little neat fact about it is whenever you're operating in Class Alpha airspace, you have to operate on 2 for your altimeter setting. Moving into Class Bravo. Class Bravo is a class busy airspace, basically, is what we like to call it. So these are typically larger types of airports, such as Atlanta, Charlotte. You can tell it on the map because they're going to be typically a solid blue ring around the airport. There's no really set structure or distance because it kind of looks like a building cake as a downward. So the airspaces are larger and then they get smaller as you get down to closer and closer to the ground. Typically, we see about a 30-mile ring out there, in which is going to be the MOTI transponder veil, as well as the ADSB veil as well. Typically, you see about 10,000 feet for that. You have to have two-way communications and have to be approved and cleared into the Bravo airspace before you go in, unless you are on an instrument flight plan, in which they will clear you directly into it. Um, Class Bravo airspace is also really nice with the weather minimums. Typically, it's just about 3 miles, clear of clouds. Next, moving on, Class Charlie. Class Charlie is the step down from Class Bravo. It's still a pretty busy airport, but it's not as nearly as bad. With a Class Charlie airspace, you have to establish comms, so that goes into our required equipment. You have to have MOTI transponder, ADSB out, as well as two-way communication. But rather than the Bravo, you have to just receive communications with them. So you have to basically get that. And they're typically received for the distances about 4,000 feet and about a 5 to 10 mile rail or 5 to 10 mile rings. Looks kind of like a cake as well. So you have the top and then the bottom part, which is going in and in. For that, it's going to be the 3152 for the weather. So it's going to be 3 miles visibility, 1,000 feet above the clouds, 500 feet below the clouds, and then 2,000 feet left and right of that. As well as the going on to Class Delta, we have and Class Charlie, of course, is going to be the same thing as Class Bravo, unless or except it's going to be a red veil for that. Moving on, Class Delta. So that's lastly our dialogue airspace is what I like to call it. So that's for that. The fortunate part about that, unlike the Class Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie airspaces, you don't have to worry about the MOTI and the ADSB. You just have to worry about two-way communications, in which you have to establish that before you go in. Typically, it's going to be about 2,500 as well as 4 nautical miles for the sizing for it. Like I said as well, you have to establish communications, and then once again, it's the 3152 weather rule, like I just said. Moving on, so we have the majority in the main airspace outside of the controlled are going to be your Echo and Gulf airspaces. So Echo airspaces, there's not basically going to be no required equipment for that, unless the ADS-B out, which is the new FAA governed, which you don't have to have it in, you just have to have it out. For this, weather minimums can change a little bit more, but it's typically about the 3152 rule, as well as underneath 10,000 feet or 5111 for above. So that's going to be 5 miles and then 1,000 feet above, 1,000 feet below 1 mile for that. And then you have Class Gulf airspace. Class Gulf airspace is typically underneath 1,200 feet or 700 feet AGL. It kind of goes in with a little bit more, I guess you could say, uncontrolled rules in between Echo airspace. Typically, it's about 1 mile clear of clouds for the majority of it, and the night's going to be 3152 once again, so it's going to revert back to that structured airspace. And then lastly, we have the special types of airspaces. With this, there's going to be a wide variety of it, but I put the majority of the ones you're going to see. So starting off with MOAs, that's military operation area. you'll see basically high speed training low to the ground. MOAs, you don't have to have permission to fly into them. You just basically just you can go, but it's just kind of just use extreme caution whenever going into there. Next, you have prohibited, which are the opposite of a MOA. It's completely you cannot use it. So another like most example famous part of prohibited areas would be Washington D.C. area, such as the White House. Moving on to maybe like the Lincoln Memorial or some other more memorial type areas in which there is no allowed flying through that. Next, we have alert areas. Alert areas are typically going to be lots of training, such as unseen aerial gunnery, maybe just basically high congested areas. So it's basically just alert. You are allowed to fly through these for the majority of the like most part. And then next we have warning. Warning areas are typically just like maybe dangerous parts, more like unseen things, uh, such as that type of nature. So once again, you are allowed to fly through that, but however, just use kind of caution. Lastly, most popular is the restricted. Restricted airspace is basically airspace you cannot enter unless you have approval before the entry of entering the airspace with ATC, such as an IFR flight plan, or even getting approval on a VFR flight plan whenever they are allowing you to go through it. Lastly, here are some of my reference pages. I mainly use the FAA Airspace Chapter 15 as well as a Pilot Institute page, which kind of broke down the class Alpha Bravo and every other airspace into it. But yeah, so thank you once again for watching my presentation. I'm sorry I couldn't upload it via the Kata Torah. I spent probably an hour and a half trying to figure it out, but I appreciate your timing and thank you so much. I'm Eric Anderson.